Welcome everyone for my talk. I hope you are enjoying the conference so far. And what I want to do today, I want to share with you my experience of how I move my classes online. And especially I'm talking about large size classes for STEM fields, specifically for engineering. And so I will start with a question. So the first question, I think you have Paul. So how do you feel when teaching online? Are you frustrated, overwhelmed, content, or inspired? So I think I'm going to see your choices. Okay, overwhelmed. I understand. It's a very common feeling. And yes, so the next question is, how do you think your students are feeling where are online? And I think the majority also here feel that students are feeling frustrated. And so now the question is, what do you think we can do to reach a goal of having instructor inspired and also student inspired? So how can we reach this goal where everyone are so happy to go online? So please take your time and write your ideas in the chat box, and then I will start from that and share my experience. So I'm going to check it's the live Q&A or discussion forum. What is the place where? Okay. So any suggestion? How do you think we can reach this goal to feel inspired as an instructor and to make sure our students are feel so inspired and happy to be online? I'm sure you have some strategies. All of us are in the same. Okay, more connection, one-to-one. Thank you, Kelly. Jennifer say, take the time to design the course. Yes, and taking into account the social emotional aspects, so the empathy and the course design. I'm Monica, make the content relevant. Yes, thank you. I think all these ideas are very important in some way, are overlapping with my ideas that I want to share today. So let me go back. So thank you so much for sharing. So let me see if I can go back to my presentation. So I need to go back here and share again. Great. And so now, can I go ahead? Yeah, so my experience of how I achieve this inspired, it's the following. So for sure, we need to start from a very clear teaching philosophy. So let's say, starting from our teaching goals. What is my teaching goals? I'm sure most of you have similar teaching goals. For me, the main goal is making sure that students will be able to build a foundational knowledge. So we're able to acquire skills and knowledge that will allow them to move forward in the program and in the career. And so how I achieve this goal, which strategies I'm using. I would say that a general technique that can describe all the type of tools and strategies I apply, it's called scaffolding. In literature, scaffolding means that instructor is providing a piece of knowledge in a small doses and making sure the student is able to build on itself and making sure the information are given in a timely fashion, and also any misunderstanding is clarified as soon as possible. And obviously, I put this at the core of my teaching philosophy, teaching strategy when I am in class. And then when I move online, what I do differently or what I did emphasize. So from my experience in the last year, we say we are online, I think the three keys for success to teach online large enrollment courses for engineering are to provide and encourage a clear communication for students, to provide clear expectations, and to provide multiple resources. And all these three aspects are in some way part of my scaffolding technique. But when I move online, these three components have a great are greatly highlighted. Now I'm going to show each of them and discuss what I mean, and also giving you an idea how I reach this clear communication, clear expectation, and multiple resources in my courses. Why providing and encouraging communication is important? I would say that when students are online, they are really isolated. They are in their room. They cannot talk with teammate or classmate. They cannot talk with the structure. They are really isolated, and so they need tools, channels to communicate. But tools alone are not sufficient, because I see from the experience that some students, maybe they feel some anxiety to speak, or maybe they have some shyness. They need to be encouraged to speak. So I think that this component of encouraging them to be open and to communicate and feeling and making sure they feel safe to say or to ask questions or to respond to questions, it's really a crucial aspect of this engagement online. And so I want to go a little bit more in a specific on the way I work on encouraging clear communication among students and between students and students with this structure. So I would say that when I teach in my class, even when I teach in in-person style, I usually offer a lot of opportunity for collaboration. For example, I often give small quizzes, very frequent, and one portion of this quiz as a collaborative portion, a collaborative stage. And so the idea is to provide students an opportunity to interact in this portion of the collaborative stage portion in a way that they can learn from each other. So the classic peer-to-peer learning experience. But the way I try to do it online is by providing a unique environment, like a very well organized space. And as you see, this is an example I extract from my platform that I suggest students to use. This is a platform that it's really a standard for a business, and it's very well known. And as you see, all my students in the class are grouped in different groups, and within each group we have 6-7 students. And as you can see from the slide, they are talking, they are sharing ideas and say, oh, I was not understanding that, or now I understand what I went wrong. Another student respond how to do how to solve a specific problem, and they are sharing idea and they are learning. And so that is the way I do online. What is important here is to say that yes, I know students can communicate each other by texting, right? But why it's important that we create a unique environment? Because in this way, students can not only talk with with students in the same team, they can also talk with different teams and also talking to me because I am also included in the same platform. So the connection, it's really easy, available, and people, they feel open to communicate. Another way I think I encourage students communication is through breakout rooms. So when I'm online, when I'm in class, I have a component which is following the classic think, pair, share strategy, where students are talking together for solving a specific problem, and then they are trying to share the experience, and then maybe some of them in class are discussing. And I found that when move online, implementing these strategies using breakout rooms, it's really much more effective because in the breakout rooms, you can give small instruction, like specific task with very clear description of the task to do, and then you can also sometimes join the group, join the breakout room, and see how you can help the discussion and the problem solving, if it's a problem solving. So I think breakout room is really making easier to apply the think, pair, share strategy. And another example I want to share with you about how students are interacting, especially in class, is by using the chat box. As you can see here, I extracted some discussion with among my students of a lecture that I did last week. In this lecture, I was discussing using a document camera and explaining which methods we can use when we're solving alternate current electrical circuits. And so as you see, some students was kind of recap or asking questions related to the topic. Other people are responding. Other people are reinforcing the concept. And even some point, I see some people say, "Oh, she wrote down the number wrong." Yes, it happens sometimes that when I write, I make some typos, so maybe small things to be corrected by. But looking at this immediately, I had the chance to fix and making sure that the small minor mistake is not affecting the large the whole lecture. But at the same time, also students are encouraged to ask questions, and also they feel open to respond. As you notice from this chat conversation, my students are really very active in class. They are really very kind of collaborating with me in making my class the best possible experience. And now I'm asking how this is possible, how we can achieve students are so engaged in an online setting. I will tell you that this is not possible if you don't do something else. And the something else I'm doing that provide this as an outcome is what I'm introduce next, which is the way I encourage student to instructor communication. So because I put a lot of emphasis and effort to communicate with the student and making sure the students feel comfortable to talk with me, then they are kind of understand that the classroom is a safe environment and they can really speak. And how I model this type of relation between me and the student, I use several strategies. For example, one that I like it and I think it worked very well, it's including some warming up question at the beginning of the lecture. You can see this is a portion I extract from one of my chat during the summer class, where I was asking about favorite ice cream flavor. And so students responding, sharing ideas about chocolate, pistachio, or any type of things. Some people say, oh, maybe now professor is sharing ice cream to us. But the thing is that this type of conversation that it happens always before the class starts, not during the class, but before. It's helping students to feel more like engaged and feel themselves like a human, engaged with each other, to know better the classmate. But most important, and this is, I think, the tip, is students join my class in time because they want to participate on this icebreaker question. So and they come in class before the class start because they want to be involved in this kind of game. It's in some sense, and then we start on time. But because of that, they feel that we are open to each other and ready to speak, and so then they use the chat box to learn and to ask question clarification. Another things I really encourage, another way in which I encourage students to talk with me is by using specific assignment that I created and included in my learning management system, which I called quick review request. Essentially, at the end of each lecture, students are, I ask students to tell me which topic need more clarification, or in which way I can help them to clarify or to go to the next step of learning. As you see, I extracted from this from my Canvas website, a student who asked for clarification about how to calculate the direction of vectors. And I respond immediately, like between the next 24 hours, giving a detailed answer and indication. But sometimes, as in this case, I give a link for a video that I created to respond to all the questions of the student on that specific lecture, and make this video available for students in the Canvas. And often I invite students to come to my office hours to reinforce our students-instructor connection. So, and I can tell you that this specific tool worked very well for me because allow me to understand where students are. When you are in a class environment, like in-person teaching, you can see the student's face, you can see if they have a question mark, or they are happy, or they are concerned. Now you don't see that, but using this specific tool, you can in some way understanding where they are in terms of learning, right? So that was really a big plus when I moved online, to make sure I was really engaged with them and help them to fix any misunderstanding immediately. Because okay, I think maybe I wanted to say something else, and maybe just to. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, another thing I want to talk is the clear expectation. So we want to make sure students know exactly what to do and when. This is important when you do in class, because we have in person, we have the syllabus, but now we are online. That is not more sufficient, because there are so many different learning management systems and courses. And so in order to help students to understand where to find the material, I create a video that helps students to navigate the course. I also give students weekly announcements where I provide reminders about deadlines, or supports where I provide like additional resources they can use, or even show my empathy. And sometimes I add some humor. This is kind of vignette where I essentially reinforce this students' instructional connection. And one of the things that I find very important is making sure the material is provided in a very organized way and in a chronological way. This is an example extract from my learning management system. And what is really important is that I create some things like a matrix, where for each week, each day, students know what to do, the deadline, but also there are some clickable items where they can click and they can find essentially where they need to do. So it's really important that everything is on the same place. They can also use this table as a kind of printable map to check the work they do during the week. And so using that as a time management system for them, right? So that was really a big plus of my class, and students give me super feedback on that specific tool. Last thing I want to say, and then go to the Q&A, that also it's also important to provide multiple resources. Why multiple resources? Because we need to make sure we acknowledge the different learning method of students, especially in a large class, but also we need to provide resources for allow deep learning. So like I would say, enlarge the variety of resources to making sure that each student can watch video or learning from reading or other type of tools, but also make sure that the high achieving students can deep learning. And especially, for example, one thing I want to share in my class, I give real detailed explanation what should be do, how students should create a very professional report. For example, this is an example of report I give very specific instruction details, and I found that when this information is provided, they are incredibly jumping in the level of quality of the writing. Another things I like to do is share a lot of different videos for encouraging deep learning. And that video can be also extracted from the publisher or from YouTube. But it's important that you can make that selection in a way that it's consistent with your learning outcome, and it's easy for students to access. Don't leave the students alone looking on Google because they can find things that are not really helpful. And last thing I want, yeah. So last thing I want to say is about this tools that is a reading platform where students are able to read and annotate things together. That is kind of another way to feel the classroom and to collaborate. And I would say with all these three things, I achieved, with all these example, I achieved my communication, clear expectation, multiple resource, and I feel I achieved the inspired, and my students felt inspired. I know the time, it's important here. We have 1 minute. I hope someone can ask any question. We can, okay. So, and if people want to interact with me, I think I will be more than happy to like continue the discussion. Maybe we are on the meeting. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.